So sorry guys, so I think we had some hiccups, but we are now back. So for those who are watching us for the first time, welcome to MacroCode. This is where we build real world applications. So you're able to take what you learn here and apply to production ready systems, and you can build even some of the systems that you want. So on our previous video, we were able to learn how to create our simple project. So we created a simple documents management system. Then we were able to link it to our database. So on our program.cs, we have our application DB context. We have our default connection, as you can see here. Then we have on app settings, we were able to link this to our server. So you can see this is our desktop. This is our server name. But in case you want to link this to assuming to your server, you can put in the IP address and actually the port of the database. Then you have the database name, as you can see here. Then we have the trusted connection. We have our connection there. Then multiple active result set. Then we set that to true. Then trust server certificate, which we've also set to true. So what I want us to do today is I want us to go on our previous video. We were able to even create our database. We just open our database. You realize that we have our EDMS system, what we just have on our app settings, which we have it here. You can see it here. Then we have various tables. For example, SPNet roles. We don't have any data for roles, but we were able to create users. That is some users, and as you can see here, I have some users that we created. Then these are the default tables that we have: SPNet roles, SPNet role claims, SPNet user claims, SPNet user logins, SPNet user roles, then users and user tokens. Then we also have the EF migration history, which tracks all the migrations that we are doing. So I want us to, so if you go back to our application, we were able to link that to our database. But now today I want us to do something interesting. So you realize that on our database for users, so as you can see, we have our documents management system here. We have here register. So you can create an account. So you can see here, you can create an account. You can create a new account. For example, you can say it is gmail.com. And you can put this here. You can put in a password. I can put in a password. You can see my password are not matching. So those are some of the validations that we have. Then here we have, if I just do that and click register, then I should be able to get, you can see register confirmation. Then I can put in, so it's expecting us to share the details, that is to get a notification from an email address, which we don't typically have for now. So if we click this click here, it will confirm. So it assumes we have received an email notification and we've confirmed the account. So if we go to our database, we should get the account created. So you can see this is our account, the test at Gmail. It has been created and we have everything here. So what we have here is actually default identity user fields. So if we just go to our program.cs, then you will realize we have this model here called identity user. So if I just come here and click that, let me just, you can see we have these default fields. So these are some of the properties that we have, and we've not added any of our properties. So, for example, the username, we have, so all these fields, for example, that we see here, you see all these fields. But now I want us today to learn something. So I want us to create a folder called models. I think we have it. So this is it. So I'll come here and create a class. I'm going to call it application user equals to, so I'll say this is get set. We'll say get set. Then we also have we have here middle name. Here middle name. So I think you realize some buffer today, guys. So I'm sorry. It's actually from my side, so don't worry about that. I think I had a challenge kind of streaming, but these will be okay in the subsequent videos. So here then we have our middle name. Then we also have here, we can say surname, or we can do here last name. Then I can also say, so we are now extending identity. Remember, we didn't have, so we have only the username. We didn't have the first name or any other details here. So I'll just come here and also say, I want my user to ensure they have address. I'll put here address. I'll also put here, I'll say ethnicity. I'll say ethnicity. So put here, so let me just come here and say, what other thing can we have? So we've done first name, middle name, last name, address, ethnicity. Then we've done, you can say a country. So we've added some of the details here. So for country, that I think we'll be able to, we can change that later. So no worries. So then once we have this application model, then we can go to our program.cs. Then on our program.cs, you see this identity user, we need to change it. We replace it with application user. So where there is an identity user, then we replace it with application user. So let's just confirm some. Let me stop the application. Then we can go to any of the, let me just check here. So you can see a login partial. We have identity user. You replace all these with application user. So let me just confirm. So anywhere we have identity user, we replace it with application. That is identity application user. So if we go to home, I don't think we have any other place. So there we go. So then all should be okay. Now, once that is fine, then we can now go to tools. I'll go to NuGet Packager Manager Console. Then here I can say add migration. Add migration. Then I can say application user updates. So if I just say application user updates, we've modified our application user. So I'll just press enter. So this will generate our migration changes. So we've added new columns to the database. So that migration should actually update our database, and we should be good with the new fields. So that's how you extend the default SPNet identity user. So as you can see, we will now be having first name, middle name, last name, address, and all those fields. So let's just wait as our application is adding. So for those who are new and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So you notice 90% of you guys are watching our videos and you haven't subscribed. So if you're one of them, please consider subscribing and also like the video. So our migration has been generated. So as you can see here, so if we just zoom in, let me just minimize. So you can see, oh, sorry, we don't have any. So we missed something here. Application DB context. So if we go to application DB context, you see here, we have, we need to specify something here. So you can see we don't have any changes. So we need to do something so that we have those updates reflected. So I want us to change our application DB context. So here I want us to change this. So we can say here, let me just do application DB context. I can do something like this. Identity DB context. Then I can say here, instead of doing this, I can say here, let me just do I can do this. I can say here application, then I can say here identity role, identity role. Can have here, I can say a string. So I want you to change to make some changes here. Once you do that, then close it. Then this should be what we should see on our app. So we have our DB context option, then you have application DB context option, then we have identity DB context, then application user, then identity role. You can also update the role, assuming you want to include some fields in the role. You can also update that. So I think we can modify it. We can extend our identity role so that we have for the user. We can add here, we can say public, created, you can say created. This should be date, time. You can say created. We want to see when our user was created on, then we can get set. So we can add another model, for example, on our models, and we can say application role. You can say this is application role. So, and this one we are extending identity role. So identity role. So if we do that, then we can have here, we can say, so you can, if you go to our roles here, we realize it has few fields. You can see it has the ID, name, normalized name, and currency stamp. So these are the default fields that we have on our SPNet identity. So what I want us to do is we can increase this, and we can say public string, you can say description. You can do that. Then we can have our description. Then this is get set. Then we can also have we can do here, we can say created on, and we can do this is date time. So we just log the time there. So this should be date time. This should be date time. Then we can have something like, for example, I think those are fine. We can just have those two. The next thing also, ensure anywhere we have identity role, you replace it with application role. So that's one thing that you should note so that you don't have any problems. So let's go to our application DB context. So here, ensure we. So one thing that you need to note is we are not adding them here. I think you'll see what we'll be doing next. Now, remember we added our migration, but our migration file was empty. You see, this is empty. So we can actually undo it. And how do you do it? Undo it, we can do remove migration. So you can just do remove migration, and it will remove the last migration that we did. So if we just do that, then it will remove this. So it does that, unable to do that. Section order, configure provider. So we have something there. So let me just check. So if we go to our application DB context, go to program.cs. I want us to do something on program.cs here. So you see we've added application user, but I want us to make some few modifications on our application user so that we are able to also take note of our identity role. So if we go to, let me just check. So if we go to this one, we can say here add, identity, and say add identity. Then we have our application user. Then we can do here also, we can add our application role. Then we do here options. Then we say sign in. So we can do something like this. These are our options. Confirm. That's fine. Then we add identity stores DB context, then add we can also do something here. We can say here we can say add default token providers, and we can do that. So this is what we are doing. So if we just come back here, let's rebuild our app. We clean it and rebuild. So we've added application user. So we are extending two things, the user and the role. So let's go to our application user, and we can say remove migration. So if it removes, so it should actually remove the last migration that we just added. So it says unable to create DB context of application DB context. So the database provider has been configured for this DB context. A provider can be configured by overriding the add DB context. So where is it? So we need to check on our add DB. We can say here, where is it? These are DB context, application DB context, options. Then we have use SQL. So that's fine. So let's just check on our DB context itself if we have anything that we need to check. So here, let me just do something here. So I can do this. Let me do, we can change this to identity DB context, then application user. Then here I can say public, and do a public, then application DB context. Then we can have here our DB context option, DB context options. Then we have that. Then we can do this. So we have DB context, application DB context option, then base. Then we can do here, you can say here DB context options. Then we have that. We'll just do this. So here we can say DB context options. Doesn't have to be this. Then we have that. So then we have our identity DB context. So if we just come back here, we have our identity DB context. Then if we go, we'll check that. So if I just try to add migration, so let me just add migration. We say application user roles updates. So let's run the migration and see if all goes well. So you should be able to get the changes that we have done. So you can see now our changes. We have the alter column name, we have the address, we have the country, we have the created on and also ethnicity, then last name, middle name, and also provider key. So all these changes that we have here. So to effect those changes, we can do update database. So if we do update database, so this should reflect, actually update the tables, the respective tables with our new changes that we've done. So as you can see, everything is okay. So we have our, so these are some of the SQL statements that you can see. So it is actually updating our tables with the new columns. So if we go to the database and select users, you realize that on users, the last columns will be having our, you see, our ethnicity, created on, country, address, first name, last name, and middle name. For the roles, we'll also be having new columns. You can see you have created on and description. Those are some of the roles that we just added. So as you can see, we have now created on and description. So I want us now to do something. We now have our users, we have our application user, and we have our application roles. So I want us to create now a controller that we'll be using to create users. So I want us to have a specific controller that actually we are going to manage users. So if I just come here, I'll do new. Let me just create new. If you're watching this particular episode and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So as you can see, so let me just, so my screen is freezing, sorry. So if we check on our tables, we now have the columns. So I think it is back. So if we go to our controller, so let's create an empty controller, and we are going to name that as we're going to name it users. So I'm going to name these users. So I'll name these users. So you can see this is my controller now. I have users controller. Then I need a constructor. So you can say CTO. Alright. I think I commented something. So here, if I say CTO, then I'll have my constructor. Then I'll have my index. Now, if we go to views, I can create a section. So I'll create a folder called users. So we are not scaffolding this because I want to show you guys what we want to do. So if you go to our constructor here, I want us to introduce some items here. So one is I want us to introduce something we call, so you can say here public, read only, then user manager. So then we can do here application user. So this is our application user. Then we can do user manager. So you can do the same. So we'll need also so here we do sign in manager. Then here we can do sign in manager. And do underscore sign in manager. Then we can also have a role manager here. So this user manager is used to actually create new users and even update. And so we'll see some of the methods that the user manager gives us. So we also have a roles manager. Then this will be our application. Remember, we changed our role. So we are not using identity role, but application role, because we now added new fields. So that's how you had SPNet tables. So I'll just do here role manager. Then I'll now need all this in our constructor. So I'll now need all this here. I'll say this is here. So I think it is even suggesting for us. So you can see we have sign in manager, then we have role manager. So we now have we need user manager. So I'll need to have this. Then I can have here user manager. Sign it. So I'll say here user manager. So that is now what we need to do. So the next thing that I want us to do is I want us to see how you can retrieve users from the database. So remember some of the tables, we've not added these to our application users. So the first thing to do here is we'll just come here on index and we'll just do, so we can create a model. So I want us to create actually. So let's create view model folder. So I'll just minimize. Then I'll create here, I'll say view models. Then on our view models, I want us to create a view model. So you can call this user. Then you also have a list. So you can call this user. Then you also have a list. So we can retrieve one record at a time, or we can retrieve a list of users. So here I'll call this, I can call this list. Then I have this as a list. Then I can have this as users. I can call these users. So that is our view model. So if you go to our controller, I can now have my user view model here, and I can call it VM. Then I can now assign my list. So I can say VM dot users equals to, so I can get the list of users from the database. So I can now say, and here I want to make this async. So ensure that you always make this async. So I can say here task, then I can say action result. Then I can close that. Then I can say index. Then here I'll do await. Then I can say here underscore. We don't have context here, so we need to have our application DB context. Remember, that is what establishes the connection between our database and our application. So what we need here is our application DB context. So what we need to do is we just need to say public read, then we say application DB context, then we can say underscore context. Then after doing that, we also need to have, we need to inject it here, and we are going to call this context. Then here we'll be having context, as you can see. Then we can now come here and say underscore context. Then we say dot. So we need now to access our users. So how do we do that? So if we say here users, you see users, it will give us the list of users. Then we can say here to list async. So if we do that, then this will give us the list of users, and we need to return the view here. So that's one way of how you can return the list of users. But now, remember, we've just created we need to create an index, that is a razor page. If we go to home, we've created a users folder. So I'll just create add new, then index, then an empty page. Then I'm going to call that index. So nothing else. So I'm just going to call it index. So what I want us to do now for users, I want us to retrieve or actually display the list of users that we have. But you know, for now, we actually have a list of users. That's a good thing. So if we go to the database, we have some users here. So we should be able to retrieve this list of users. Now, one thing that we need to do here is we first need to have, so let me just come here. So I'll say here I'll say at using. Then I can say here documents management, then dot view models, then dot. We have our view models. Say at, we can say here actually at models, and say at models, at model, then we say users, do we have it? We can have it. Let me just retain what we had. We had something there. We can say at model. So I want this one. This one. We can say here at model. So it will ask us to fix it. So you can see, I think that is what we had missed. So we are now having our users view model. But now I want us to display the list of users. So our index page here, we can say view bag dot title. We can call it users. That's fine. Then if we zoom that, so I want us to display a simple list. So I'll just do a quick one, div class row. Then we can close this. Then we can do div class, then row. This will be call md12. Then we can close this. Then we can also do here, you can say here, so I just want a list of records. So I can say here div class. Then we can do table responsive, table bordered, then we can close this. Then we can do our table. So we can say here table. Then we can say class. We can say table. This should be actually table. You can do here bordered. You can remove that. Then you can say here can do here table stripped, then table bordered, and we can say here and just have this as table. Then we can close this. Then we can have our table header. Then we can have our table row. And we close it. Then we can have our headers. So the first thing that we want to display is actually, let's display the username and just call it user name. I'll copy this as I'll display email address. I'll also display here, let's call it, so you have email address. Then we have first name. So let's call it first name, middle name. So I'll just come here. I'll paste all this. I'll say here first name. Or we can even start with let's go, yes, start with, we do here first. Sorry, first. It should be first name. Then we have middle name. And we also so that once we have that, then I want us to, so we've done table row, table header. I want us to have our table body. Then here we can do for each. We can say for each user in. So we'll do model users. Remember our users list. Then this one we need to do it this way. So here I want us to have our table row. So we'll just do here table row. Then we'll be having our table data. So here, then we have first name. Then we have first name. We also have last name. Then we need to have middle name. I'll just paste here also middle name. I'll just paste here. I'll do middle name, and then last name, then address. Then we do address. Then I'll also do here, after address, I'll do created on. So we now have our list. So I think that is the index page. So what I want us to do now, remember we have our users. We have our users, and it will display the list of users that we have. So privacy, we can add another tab for users. I'll just controller will be users. and then this one will be index. Then you can call this system users. So that's part of what we've done. So let's just launch our app and see if we are able to get a list of users. So I'm going to launch the app and see if we can get the list of users. So if you haven't subscribed until this particular point and you're watching our series, consider subscribing. So your services, please add inside the call. So let me just check. So we have something wrong. Do this. So please add all the required services by calling iService. If we go to our program.cs, I think we should ensure that we have, so let's just come here. We have a program.cs. So let's just ask to check what is wrong with that. So let me just stop our app first. So if we just try to launch, telling us so we need to add something. We need to add something to our app. So this says with static assets. Just confirm. We just need just confirm here. We launch. Is there something we are missing? Let me just confirm. Add razor pages. Don't have add razor pages. So let's just confirm something. If we go back here to our app, yeah, we don't have something like that. We don't have something like that. I don't know how that happened. What we need here is you add your builder dot services, then dot add razor pages. Then we can do that. Then you can also say here dot add razor pages options. Do we need even the options? We don't need it. Razor pages. So if we launch the app now, we should be able to see everything as launched, and we are now ready to see if we can get the list of users. So we click on register. So our app has not. So I think we have an issue. So I think we have an issue with register login because of the changes that we've done. So let's just see if it will retrieve the list of users. So you can see we've been able to see the list of users that we were able to save in the database. So we have the backend coders, test@gmail, macro code, all these email addresses that we have here. These are the details that we have. And all those data is actually on our database. So we've been able to retrieve this list of users and display it on our app. So on our next episode, we are going to see how you can create the user and now make use of this data that is just introduced, the first name, last name, and even the address. So I think that is it for today. I think we had challenges today for streaming. So some of you might have noticed. We apologize, and in our next episode, we'll ensure that we don't have those hiccups. We'll ensure that we don't have those hiccups like today. So that is it, and see you in our next episode. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and turn on the notification bell. So we'll be live again tomorrow, same time, and we'll ensure that we're able to cover most of the things. I think today we've not managed to cover a lot of things. We'll cover complete the user sections and even the roles section. So that is it, and see you episode. Bye.